Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Survive the Shows, and today we are diving deep into a lifetime movie that's equal parts heartbreaking and hard to look away. Surviving My Father, the Rachel Jeff story, which premieres Saturday, October 4th at 8/7 on Lifetime and streams the next day. I watched the press materials and read up on the real-life context so we can unpack not just the film itself, but the bigger story it sits inside: the abuse, the control, the surprising bravery of one woman who decided to walk away and speak out. What I want to do in this video is three things. First, walk you through the film in a way that feels like a conversation between friends, no cold film critic jargon promise. Second, highlight what works and what doesn't, the performances, the pacing, the choices the filmmakers made. And third, talk about the broader, real-life story behind the film and why Rachel Jeff's journey matters. I'll also give you moments to watch for, discussion questions for the comment section, and a gentle guide on how to hold space for survivors if this subject touches you personally. Okay, let's get into it. Right from the first scenes, Surviving My Father plants you inside a world that's cozy on the surface but rotten underneath. The film uses small, domestic images, braided hair, chipped dishes, hymnals on a table, and pairs them with a sense of surveillance, whispered instructions, eyes that never quite relax. That contrast is the movie's strongest move. It doesn't need a big, loud reveal to demonstrate horror. The horror is in the system. Rules enforced by love language turned weapon, and a young woman whose very sense of self is ground down by those rules. Lifetime's logline puts it bluntly: Rachel endured years of trauma and twisted purity tests, and when she finally tries to tell the truth, she's met with disbelief and isolation. It's a tidy summary, but the movie's power comes from the slow suffocation of tiny moments, conversations that don't land where they should, parenting that looks like pastoral care but is really control. Trigger-friendly pause: the movie portrays patterns, grooming, coercion, the way communities protect the abuser, rather than sensationalized details. The filmmakers are careful to keep the focus on Rachel's perspective, how she thinks, how she doubts herself, and how she builds courage to leave. That's the story's beating heart. This film is rooted in the real-life experiences of Rachel Jeffs, also known as Rachel Jeffs Blackmore, who grew up inside the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, FLDS. She is the daughter of Warren Jeffs, the church's notorious leader, a figure who has been the subject of documentaries and reporting for years. Rachel has spoken publicly about abuse and about leaving the community with her children. She's part of a larger group of survivors who have been working to expose what happened inside that world. If you want context beyond the movie, there's reporting and interviews with Rachel that go deeper into her life before, during, and after leaving. The film favors a linearish structure, but it punctuates present-day decisions with quick flashes of the past, rituals, the father's charisma in sermons, and the private moments where control becomes abuse. That editing choice keeps the audience stitched to Rachel's memory while tracking the slow arc to action. The runtime sits around feature-length TV movie territory, about 90 minutes, which is a tight space to render a lifetime of damage, so the film smartly focuses on a few catalytic events: the purity tests, the low-grade punishments that escalate, and the moment Rachel decides she can't stay. Cinematically, expect close-ups. The camera lingers on faces and hands, the small gestures that betray larger truths. Lighting is often soft, which makes the moments of reveal feel colder by contrast. Score-wise, it leans minimal. Rather than a sweeping orchestral rescue cue, music underscores the claustrophobia. That restraint helps the emotional beats land without melodrama. The centerpiece here is Rachel's performance. You'll feel everything. The actor carries a burden: portray a person who's both deeply wounded and quietly fierce. She does that by letting silence speak. When Rachel is most controlled, the actor uses stillness. When she begins to reclaim agency, the difference is in posture and eye contact. The supporting players, especially those who play enablers and disbelievers, are crucial because the film's cruelty doesn't come only from an obvious villain. It comes from the chorus of everyday people who gaslight or look away. If the end credits spark curiosity, it's worth following up with interviews and behind-the-scenes pieces. Often the cast and crew will explain research, how they approached trauma-informed storytelling, and what they wanted to avoid. Lifetime put this film in their October lineup as part of a slate of ripped-from-headlines movies, so the production clearly leaned into the film as meaningful telling of real events idea. The purity test sequence. This is a masterclass in showing abuse without gratuitous detail. The test itself is less important than the fallout, how it changes Rachel's relationship with others and her own body image. Watch how the camera holds on the social ritual, you see conformity being enforced, and how dissent isolates the dissenter. The disbelief moment, a scene where Rachel tells someone close to her and is met with skepticism. Pay attention to how the film stages this, the framing, the lines, and the silence that follows. That silence is its own character. The escape planning. Rather than a dramatic chase, the escape is practical, anxious, and human. It's about packing, timing, and the terror of small decisions, which makes it feel real and earned. The return rescue thread. If the story includes Rachel trying to reconnect with or reclaim her children, watch how the film balances hope with the logistical and emotional barriers survivors face. I won't spoil the ending, but the last act leans into Rachel's resilience and the messy, non-linear nature of healing. It doesn't promise a neat happily ever after, but it gives a sense of forward motion, the kind that says surviving is not just about leaving, it's about rebuilding identity piece by piece. Centering the survivor's perspective. This is crucial. Many true story adaptations give equal screen time to perpetrators and survivors. Here, the emotional center is Rachel's interior life, her doubts, her anger, her plan to leave. Avoiding sensationalization. Scenes that could have been lurid are kept purposeful and sober. Showing the social machinery of abuse, the enforcers, the rules, the people who protect the abuser. That structural portrait helps the viewer understand why leaving is so hard. Practical emotional pacing. The movie doesn't rush her recovery or pretend healing is straightforward. There are relapses, awkward reunions, and bureaucracy, all portrayed with weight. Compression. With a 90-minute TV movie, some relationships have to be sketched rather than fully fleshed out. A sibling, a friend, or a community elder might function as a symbol more than a developed person. Exposition-heavy patches. There are moments where the movie leans on clumsy dialogue to get the audience up to speed on the cult's rules. Some of those beats could have been shown rather than told. The after could use more space. The film gives Rachel a strong exit point, but viewers who want to understand the long-term process of recovery might be left hungry for more nuance. Bigger picture, why this story matters. Stories like Rachel Jeff's force us to ask uncomfortable questions. How do systems hide abuse? How do communities justify silence? How does the worship of authority become a tool for harm? And crucially, how do survivors build a life after they leave? The film is part of a broader cultural moment where survivors' voices are being amplified and where entertainment is being used as testimony. That can be complicated. Dramatization risks simplification, but what Surviving My Father does well is use cinematic tools to create empathy without spectacle. It invites viewers to sit with discomfort, to recognize where blame should fall, and to see the human cost of power abused. This movie isn't a CSI-style thriller or a courtroom drama. It's a quiet but relentless portrait of what happens when authority is weaponized against the people it's supposed to protect. The best thing it gives us is a view of agency reclaiming itself, not a single heroic showdown but small, stubborn acts of refusal. That's the most important kind of triumph, the one that happens in the margins, slow and tenacious. If you watch Surviving My Father, give it your attention for the performance and the care the filmmakers took with Rachel's perspective. And if the story gets to you, as I suspect it will, remember that's normal. These films are meant to move us. Let your feelings sit with you and reach out for support if you need it. Alright, that's my deep dive on Surviving My Father, the Rachel Jeff story. It premieres October 4th at 8/7 on Lifetime and streams the next day. Check your listings. If you like this breakdown, hit the like button, it really helps, and subscribe for more long-form film breakdowns, true story adaptations, and reaction-style essays. Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and if you want a follow-up, say whether you'd like a companion video that compares the movie's version to interviews and reporting from Rachel Jeffs herself. I can pull together the sources and give you a factual timeline. Thanks for sticking with me, and if this episode touched you personally, please be gentle with yourself. There are people and resources that can help, and you don't have to go through hard things alone. See you in the next one.